You know how stressful it is when guidance systems go down. You lose field time. You lose yield potential. You lose patience. Help is here. Raven Cruiser 2 RTK with Slingshot. Precision simplified. Learn more at ravensimple.com.
Our weed of the week is water hemp.
Well, it's quickly becoming my favorite weed to talk about because it dominates our area. When you think about all the weeds out in the field, you say, oh, there's a little of this, there's a little of that. But when water hemp takes over, it literally chokes out the other weeds.
Okay, what water hemp is, it is smooth pigweed. And quite honestly, I think Palmer pigweed down in the south is the exact same weed.
Brian,
if
it's a little bit different.
It's almost the same. But the point is, it's in the pigweed family, so if something's going to control a pigweed, it should control water hemp, right?
Not necessarily, because water hemp has developed resistance to some of the common chemicals that are being used, like the ALS family. Back in the Pursuit days in the early 1990s, well, guys were using Pursuit for everything. Oh, it's killing all the weeds in the field. All of a sudden, one weed stood up and got resistant. It was water hemp. In some areas, kochia did too, but it was mainly water hemp in our part of the world. And now you think about it with Roundup that's being used everywhere. Well, guess what? Water hemp is starting to turn up resistance to that as well.
So there are some plants that have ALS resistance and Roundup resistance in the same plant.
Well, and
those
they've
are
got
tough
some
to
other
control.
things too. There's some HPPD resistance further east in the Corn Belt as well. So yeah, water hemp's getting tough and it's standing up to a lot of our herbicides.
So one of the reasons why this is such a difficult weed is it can put on over 1 million seeds per plant, and it can grow 3 to 4 inches in a day. So it does not take very long for it to get beyond the stage that a conventional herbicide would be labeled. So in soybeans, for example, you can go out and use Flexstar or Cobra. They're actually really good on water hemp when the water hemp is 2 to 4 inches tall. So you probably have a couple of days to spray, maybe 3 or 4.
Well, they pop up quick. The problem with water hemp is it comes up pretty much all through the season, not maybe the first few weeks of the growing season in our part of the world, but once you get past that, it's going to keep coming up all the way until harvest.
So what we suggest you do is use a good pre-emerge herbicide in any crop you're planting. So even in wheat, for example, you can use Sharpen, or even Prepare has some activity, but especially Sharpen. Sharpen is not an ALS herbicide like Prepare is, and that'll do an excellent job there. In corn, I like Balance Flex. There are many other products that'll work fine. In soybeans, Valor, the Authority products, Sencor, they're all really good on water hemp.
But the problem is, if you don't use a pre-emerge herbicide, you've given up your best control methods.
Right.
Now those weeds are up and competing with your crop, and you've got to get them early. So you can't take a week off during the summer. You've got to be there, have somebody there to spray, because if water hemp pops out of the ground, by the end of that week, it could already be too big for some herbicides.
Yep, but you know what? Fortunately, Darren, in about 3 years, we're going to have dicamba soybeans, we're going to have 2,4-D soybeans, and then we can just wipe it out in soybeans.
Well, for a while. We'll see. So far, there hasn't developed resistance to those modes of action, but you just never know. So you've got to try and hit it with multiple passes. You do that pre-emerge herbicide. If you've got lots of water hemp, then you throw a post-emerge residual product, something like an Outlook, a Dual, or a Warrant. Those products can extend your residual control for a little bit longer into the season, and hopefully you get the best weed control possible by getting crop canopy. Once you have crop canopy, that really holds down most of the weeds, so you want to try and get there as quick as you can. So one thing farmers are doing that have lots of problem weeds, whether it's in the south or in the north, is going to narrower row spacings. Maybe it's 15-inch rows, maybe it's twin rows, maybe you're switching from 30s to 20s, something like that. Just to close that canopy quicker, you will get better weed control.
Once again, our weed of the week is water hemp. You've got to get ahead of it, use a pre-emerge, and follow with a good post-emerge herbicide with residual for control on your farm. That's it for our weed of the week, but stay tuned. Iron Talk is coming up next.